Hi everyone! So I have in front of me here today a box of plants from Aroid Asia. Now if you have been here for a while, you're probably going, wait, what? Why are you getting plants from Aroid Asia? Because you will remember the history of me and ordering plants from Aroid Asia. However, since we probably have a lot of new people who may not be familiar with that history, because I do believe it has been over a year now since I received an order of plants from Aroid Asia. So I want to fill everybody in on the drama that has occurred. So it will be 2 years ago in January that I first started working with Aroid Asia, who is based in Indonesia. They had reached out to me asking to send me some plants in order for me to do an unboxing video. They gave me a discount code to provide you guys on ordering plants from them. The plants came in, the plants were fabulous, everything was great. Fast forward about a month and a half, I lost my corporate job unexpectedly, and shortly thereafter, I decided that I didn't want to go back to the corporate world and I was just going to pursue all things planty. And so I started importing plants from Aroid Asia to sell at my local rare plant pop-up shops. And it started out great, you guys. The first order of plants came in. They were fabulous, no problems. There were a ton of plants in that order. I can't even remember exactly how many. I will flash it up on screen for you. I had no issues whatsoever. I then started to have some problems. I think maybe the second order, I feel like the second order and maybe the third order even went okay, but then things just got out of hand. And to be clear here, you guys, it was mostly things that were not Aroid Asia's fault. There were a few things where it was questionable, like pests on some plants, obviously would have happened on Aroid Asia's end, but I started having a lot of problems getting the shipments to me. They were getting stuck in customs, just delayed for whatever reason, getting stuck on a hot truck and coming in with heat damage. It was just absolutely ridiculous, you guys, to the point where I was like, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. So I think Aroid Asia reached out to me recently wanting to send me some plants to kind of get back in my good graces. So things are a little bit different this time though. If you guys are not familiar with Aroid Asia, this does not look like an Aroid Asia box of plants. Most of the plants that come, or pretty much all the plants that come directly from Aroid Asia, are in a box that is wrapped up in red tape. So why doesn't this look like this? This is because Aroid Asia did start sometime last year working with a company called Plant Stop USA. I had mentioned this to you in a past video because the very last shipment they sent me last year, they told me they were going to send it via cargo and Plant Stop USA. It didn't happen and we still had problems. So I think they wanted to do this also to prove that this new method works. So basically what happens is, and in this case, what happened, they took multiple people's orders for the US, grouped them together, sent them via cargo shipment to Plant Stop US, which is, they're located in New Jersey. And they unbox the Aroid Asia boxes, separate the orders out, package them back up, and send them out to each individual customer. Now, has this resolved every potential problem such as delays? I'm going to be straight up honest with you. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and start cutting into this box while I kind of explain to you guys about what happened with this. I don't know that it has really helped delays, or at least not in my situation with this order. So I did get a tracking number for the cargo shipment when it left Aroid Asia, and it left, I believe it said on October, I want to say October 13th, or October 13th might have been when the shipping label was created, and it left on October 14th. Just so you guys know, today is October 25th. Do the math. So why did I not get this yet? Well, a couple of things. First of all, it went very quickly, as far as I could tell, to Plant Stop USA. What is it? It's Plant Stop USA. Went very quickly to them. I showed that they had it by the 17th. So that's pretty fast. So then I just sat here waiting and I was like, okay, I haven't gotten any updates or anything. Like, when are they going to ship it to me? So I had reached out to Aroid Asia and said, am I going to get an updated tracking number when they ship it out? And they said, yes, absolutely, of course. And then I found out that they were at a show, an expo, a plant expo. And so they weren't going to be able to ship it out right away because of that. Because I guess like everybody went to the plant show. Nobody was left to deal with the plant orders, I suppose. So I was kind of like, well, that's not ideal. So then I just kept waiting, you guys, and I double checked with my contact at Aroid Asia. I was like, are they going to get here like before the beginning of November? Because I'm going to be on vacation November 2nd to November 9th. They cannot arrive while I'm gone. And he basically said, oh yeah, you'll be fine. And so I've been waiting for a tracking number. Well, you guys, yesterday I had a girl buy a plant from me and she came to pick it up and I opened the door and I was like, what is this package on my doorstep? This was the package on my doorstep. I never got a tracking number. I was like, I don't even know how long this has been sitting out front because I don't go out my front door every day. So I looked up the tracking number right before this on here and it arrived yesterday at 1:30. I did not find it until close to 5 p.m. and I did not have time to film an unboxing video last night. Plus the lighting was crap in here. So yeah, here we are the next day unboxing this. And I never got a tracking number for this after it left plants.USA. So not happy about that. Slightly concerned over the fact that this has now been in here for over a week. That's still less than the problems when I was having issues with them. I think we made it almost to 20 days with one of the orders before I actually got them. So, and it was super hot yesterday too, so I'm not happy that it was sitting on the front porch. But we're just gonna see how the plants look. Now they did ask me to pick some plants that I want. I picked, well, the first one I picked, they told me I couldn't have, it was out of stock. I picked a couple of other plants and they said, okay. And then I saw that they picked some other plants to throw in here as well. And I honestly, I can't even remember what all the other plants were. So we're just gonna find out as we go. So it does look like they are shipping, hopefully you guys can see that they are shipping the roots in sphagnum moss. This is another change that they had made towards this time last year, because prior to that, they were just wrapping them in like what is best described as wet toilet paper, which honestly, when they first switched to sphagnum moss, the roots were showing up to me in like worse condition than they were in the toilet paper. But I guess maybe because they had just started doing it and they hadn't quite figured out the perfect wetness or something for them, who knows? But that's what all of these look like. And these also all look like they're in like some sort of, well, hopefully you guys could tell, this one's in like kind of a plastic cup, which is also, oh, that's a great idea. Okay, this is gonna resolve the issue I was just talking about. So what they used to do is they would just put the sphagnum moss and they would completely wrap it closed in saran wrap. And that's like depriving the roots of oxygen. And so that's why I think I got a lot of rot issues on that first order I got from them that had sphagnum moss. But what they're doing now is they've got these in basically clear pots. And look at the bottom, there's holes. So that's gonna allow some aeration there so that hopefully you have less of an issue with root rot. So that's definitely an improvement. That's a good thing that they started doing that. Let's see how many plants we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, that one's big. 5. Looks like we've got 6 plants in here in total. Let me just move this box out of the way. All right, and I did go ahead and grab some big things of water here to put these in to get the roots rehydrated and everything. So let's save the 2 big ones for last. And let's start with, what do we have here? Okay, this plant, I actually was going to, like if I had continued to order from them after all of this fiasco around this time last year, I was going to buy some of these in the next order. I'm kind of glad I didn't though, because the value on these started dropping drastically right after that. And I would have basically had ended up essentially like overpaying for the plants. Like I would have lost money trying to resell them. And in that regard, you guys, actually it's kind of sort of a blessing in disguise that I stopped importing when I did, because it was around the time that the price drops all started happening pretty drastically and quickly on a lot of the rarer plants. And so it kind of saved me from potentially losing quite a bit of money. But what we have here is a Philodendron Florida Beauty, and a rather nicely variegated one at that. Look at that, you guys. You see how variegated those leaves are? That's great. That's another thing that I kind of was not enjoying necessarily about importing plants, was that quite frequently you never knew how variegated it was going to be when it came in. They do sell on occasion plants where it's like, this is the plant you're getting in the picture, but for the most part, it's basically grower's choice. Hold on one second, you guys. I just realized my charge cord's not fully plugged in on that camera and our battery is going to run down way too fast if I don't resolve that. Okay, we are good to go now. So like I was saying, like it's basically grower's choice. So for some of the variegated plants, their value can change drastically depending on how variegated they are. I mean, think about Monstera albos. The level of variegation directly correlates to the price. So that was kind of frustrating. So I always love when I do get plants from imported orders to see that they are beautifully variegated like this. This is the newest leaf. It's not even fully hardened off. Look at that one. That is absolutely stunning. Okay, let's get the roots uncovered here and see what we are working with. These are going to be hard, I can already tell, to find the edge of the saran wrap. And I have a feeling, am I right? I bet they put their tags, the name tags on here over where the end of the saran wrap is. So that's going to make it more secure for the plant, I suppose, but more difficult. Yep, more difficult for me to maybe get it undone, or at least now I know exactly where to cut it. But definitely happy to see that they've provided some aeration for the roots, because let me tell you, that one order that I unboxed around this time last year was like, oh, there were a few in there. Like my sensory memory bank is going off right now just thinking about it. Like I can remember the horrible smell that came off of some of the roots in that order. Oh, it was bad. It was bad, you guys. But there is a little bit of a learning curve when you decide to change up shipping methods for anybody. I mean, just if I was shipping plants, there's probably would be a learning curve as well if I was just going to randomly change things. Okay, so these are the flexible pots. You guys have seen me use these before, and this is kind of smarter, I guess, than the stiffer plastic one we saw earlier, because they can fold this down like over the top so that it doesn't dry out like too much. And then of course these do have like a hole in the end, so it does still get that aeration. So I just need to get through the tape. All right. Oh, it's actually 2 pots stacked together, and bonus, like I will clean these and use these. So that's nice. All right, let's get this sphagnum. I feel like hold on. I think I'm going to open the paper up here, and maybe we'll just compile the sphagnum moss here. I will say, let me double check for any signs of pest. Always do that if you guys are importing plants, because like I've said in the past, I have had an issue with pests. There's a small white dot on this one, you guys. Hold on, let me get my magnifying glass. I might be able to tell just with that. Okay guys, I grabbed my handy dandy microscope, digital microscope from Beaver Labs as well, just in case, but also got the magnifying glass. You guys, I know that this microscope is a little bit pricey, but I cannot recommend it enough. I use this thing so frequently, and it is so nice that it has a monitor attached to it, so you aren't having to try to control a microscope with one hand and look at it on your phone on the other hand. Like, I seriously, if you can't afford to splurge or put it on your Christmas list, holidays are coming up, this is an awesome, awesome thing. The link to it is in the description down below. I do get a small commission off of it if you buy one, but once again, I cannot recommend it enough. The magnifying glass will do the trick, but for some plants, it's just easier to use the microscope. This is also linked in my Amazon storefront in the description down below as well. Definitely a cheaper option, but I swear you will not. I get a small commission off of this too on Amazon. I'm not going to lie, you guys, but you will not regret this. And they have several different models. This is the M2, I believe, but there's other ones that you can check out. The M2 is the only one I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the only one I get commission on, but by all means, check out the other ones. If you think it'd be better for your needs, go get them. I'm telling you, they're awesome microscopes. Okay, let me see what this is. Okay, good. It's not a mealy. It kind of looked like it could have been a mealybug. Not a mealybug, so that's good. I think it might just be some residue from the solution they use to treat the plants to make sure there aren't pests on them before they package them up. So all in all, looks pretty good. I do recommend, if you are importing plants, regardless of the fact that they are supposed to be pest-free, we know from my past orders, as well as other people's orders, other YouTubers I know have had issues with imported plants coming in with pests on them. So it is always advisable to still keep them quarantined away from your other plants, and also go ahead and give them another preventative pest treatment. when they come in. Maybe if you don't do it right away, just once you pot them up, give them another little treatment. All right, so far these roots are looking pretty good. The one thing I do kind of dislike about sphagnum moss, you guys, is that it looks very similar to the roots on some plants. So sometimes it's like, is that sphagnum moss? Is that root? What is happening here? All right. Okay, there is a little bit of rot going on here. I'm not sure how well you guys are going to be able to see that on screen, but you see how that's kind of separated in the middle on that one? That's because that's rotted. But you can see there are very healthy sphagnum moss out of the way. The main roots are still very, very white and healthy. This is something that I experience a lot, especially on finer rooted philodendrons like this. That root just like popped completely off. I think it was already broken because it's pretty dry. It was probably already broken or got broken in as part of the packaging up process, which is also common, you guys. So anyways, as I was saying, finer root philodendrons like this, in my experience, lots of times when they come in, the main part of the root will look fine, but then the thinner offshoots, the thinner hairs that are shooting off the sides of that main root will be a bit rotted, which is what is happening on this plant. But all in all, it's not that bad. Honestly, you guys, I'm not going to do it right now because I want to, well, that one just popped off because it was rotted. I'm not going to do it right now because I want to get them rehydrated so I don't accidentally break any of the main roots first. But once you rehydrate them, it's real easy to just basically run your finger down with a little bit of pressure down that good root, and all those little rotted hairs will just pop right off, and then you don't have to worry about it. A lot of these are just popping off. But once again, I think it'll be okay. I'm mildly worried because up here where the top of these roots are, I don't know if y'all can tell, that's pretty dry and pretty hard. Like it's been exposed to air. So as long as that doesn't pose any kind of a problem in the rehydration process, we should be okay. But even then, you guys, you've seen me do this with the bad orders that I received in the past. Sometimes I will just remove all of the roots and let it reroot in water. And if that's what I end up having to do, that's what I have to end up having to do. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll have enough good roots left on this plant that it should be all right. So I'm just going to, like I said, I've got my big old things of water. We're just going to be popping them in here. If anybody has not watched any of my import plant videos before, first of all, I do have a video all about how I rehab them. I will link that down in the description below for you guys. But you always want to put them immediately into a thing of water and leave them in there for at least 24 hours to rehydrate. So that's what we're going to be doing with all of these today. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one, I remember seeing this on when he sent me the list of what he was actually going to send me. And then I was on their website a while after that looking for something, and I was like, oh, I think they have this plant because I think that's what he was going to send me. And I went to find it on their website and it's not on there anymore. So I don't know if I got like, oops, one of the last ones of these that they had or what. Now this one does have a little bit of polyfill in here to protect the leaves, so that's nice. Now, just in case you guys are wondering why some of these plants will have this polyfill and some of these plants won't, the Philodendron Florida Beauty, they were able to get those leaves to lay flat. On some plants, if you can't get them to lay flat, then it's advisable to have the polyfill to kind of protect them. So this is a Hoya. This will only be the second Hoya. I'm just gonna start throwing things on the floor in the box, you guys. I know you're gonna be like, why is she just throwing things on the floor? But the box is down there. I'm aiming for the box. It's going in the box. So this is only the second Hoya that I've gotten from them. I did sell in May of last year the first Hoya I got from them because it just, as gorgeous as it was, like it's just not, it was a big large leaf Hoya and I am not a large leaf Hoya fan. This does not mean that I am not a fan of large leaf plants. I'm just not a fan of large leaf Hoyas, and it was one of the what's commonly referred to as a dinner plate Hoya. I like smaller leaf Hoyas, so when I saw they included this, I was actually super happy because this is a plant that I've mentioned before that I wouldn't mind owning, and this is a Hoya Mathilde Splash. So hopefully you guys can see there that these are very kind of oval shaped small leaves that are that dark green color with that silver splash on them. I know a lot of you who know about all my Hoyas that I own are going to be like, another dark green, roundish, small leafed Hoya with green splashes on it, Drea. Like, they're all going to start looking the same. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think they are. Like, there's subtle differences. Maybe I should do, you guys, I don't think I've ever done a like, here's my full philodendron collection video. Here's my full Hoya collection video. Maybe I should do some of those. Would you guys be interested in that? Comment down below and let me know. And then we can look at them all side by side and you can hopefully see the differences between them. Or you can tell me, no, Drea, those all look identical. But I'm super happy to have this one. I'm also super happy to see that it appears to be more than one vine and the vines are relatively long. Now I will tell you, one of the things that drives me nuts about Hoyas, you guys, and I don't know, I know a lot of you probably do watch Harley G as well, her channel. I know she did a video a while back complaining about Hoyas and how she might be done with Hoyas. And she had mentioned this, and it's the fact that a lot of people buy Hoyas as like a little 2-leaf cutting. And Hoyas grow slow, you guys. They take so long to get big. Like, I kind of am like, I don't want to wait that long for it to get to a bigger plant because I like them when they're bigger and kind of flowy and trailing. So for me, I would rather buy them bigger. So this is kind of small, but what I'm getting at is I have found that these smaller leafed Hoyas grow exponentially, at least in my experience, faster than the larger leafed Hoyas. So hopefully this one will take off relatively quickly. My Hoya croniana Super Silver, which is similar to this, has non-stop grown. My Curtisii, which is similar to this, non-stop grown. So I have high hopes here. All right. I think this is the only one that was in the hard plastic container here, which they had the lid to it, as you can see, done around it. I definitely think this is probably their better option here. And I would imagine these are probably cheaper too than the hard plastic, but maybe not. Let's see how the roots look though. I wouldn't necessarily say this was a wish list Hoya, but it's a Hoya I've thought about buying before when I see them. So it's definitely not a, I don't want that Hoya, but I don't know if it's technically like on my wish list. Definitely not in like the top 10, but super happy to have it. Now, interestingly enough, these leaves feel very dehydrated. I don't know if you guys can see like how easily like the edge of that, it's really hard to show y'all in here. They're bending very easily. Like Hoya leaves shouldn't be able to bend that far. That usually means that they're a little bit dehydrated. The moss is super damp though, so I'm not really sure why they're like that. Maybe they're just a little upset from being in a box and not having light. The roots themselves, they look pretty good. And I always worry about super fine root plants like this because as I just mentioned on the Florida Beauty, the finer roots are the ones that tend to rot first. It's hard to tell too because there's a little bit of like what looks like dirt remnants on this. So this is going to be one where I might not fully know the extent of how the roots are until after I rehydrate them because these brown spots on here are just kind of throwing me for a loop as to whether the roots are rotted or not. But I actually do see new root growth that's very white. You see that right there? Super white new root growth. So, and it's a Hoya. God, Hoyas root so easily, you guys. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm gonna get a smaller vessel for this because if I drop this in here, it's gonna be like all the way down here. So give me one moment. Okay, once again, shot glass to the rescue. We now know why I collected shot glasses from everywhere we went on vacation as family when I was a kid, because I have rarely used any of them for actual shots. And now I use them quite frequently for my plants. All right, super happy to have that plant. I'm glad that's one of the ones that they chose to include. Okay, this next plant, this one. Okay, we'll talk about that one when we get to it. This next plant is not a plant that I typically would have bought for myself, but it's not a bad plant at all. It's just, I don't know, it's just, you know, there's so many plants out there and we all just have limited space. I guess we don't really have limited space on our plant wish list, but I think we all kind of limit it to like, these are the X number of plants I really want. Like maybe I'm wrong. Does anybody out there have like a 300 plant wish list? If so, I'm really curious to know what 300 plants are on your wish list. But I feel like most of us have like a, here's my 10 plant or my 20, 25 plant wish list. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just me. But so for that reason, there are plants like this that just never make it on my wish list, even though they're good looking plants. They're not plants that I would be like, ew, I don't want to own that. You know what I mean? But it is a type of Monstera. It is a variegated Monstera. So this is what is known as a Monstera karstenianum, I believe is how the scientific name is pronounced. But more often than not, you guys will probably see this labeled as a Monstera, well in this case variegated Monstera Peru. So this is the type of Monstera that has the more ovalish shaped leaves, almost more of a syndapsis shape. That's really, this plant reminds me a lot of syndapsis because there are a lot of syndapsis with this shaped leaf and kind of this coloration on them when they're variegated. But this one has some lovely variegation on it. Look at that. That is beautiful. Look at that. Is that the new? That's not even the newest leaf right there. Look at that one. That is fabulous. The newest leaf is a little bit damaged, got a little crinkled, but that's okay. Now, this is a type of Monstera that you're gonna, I say you're gonna wanna let this climb. I've seen people have the non-variegated version of this trailing, but once again, when leaves get kind of to this size, I feel like they start to look a little bit awkward when they're a trailing plant. So this is one that I would probably give a pull. You know what? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to see how many people I can find that are letting them trail versus having them climb and kind of see what their experience has been before I decide what I want to do with it. But definitely a gorgeous plant. Now, I am a fan of texture like this. This has that kind of ribbed texture to it, very similar to an Anthurium luxurians, Anthurium radicans. Definitely love that about this plant. I will say, just looking at this right now, I definitely like this variegated version better than the all green version for sure. Okay, let's see how the roots look. Typically, I have not had very good luck with Monsteras coming from them in terms of their roots. The Monstera albos, like I have gotten, I don't even know how many Monstera albos from them, which I honestly got too many because I still have, I'm looking. Well, one I've decided I'm going to keep for myself. It has grown on me as being quite beautiful. It's over on my kitchen table. But I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still have 5 left that I haven't sold you guys. And I don't know why, because like the one I got in Leca over there that you guys saw recently, it was in the giant pot of Leca, is very well variegated. It's doing fabulously. Like, oh, it's pushing out another leaf already. It's only been like 2 weeks since I filmed that video showing you that it was putting out a new leaf, and now it's putting out another one. I am telling you guys, Leca is the way to go with Monstera albos. I noticed that the one I'm keeping, which also in that video a few weeks ago I showed you had just put out a new leaf that wasn't even fully hardened off, it's starting to push out another new leaf too. So highly recommend Leca. They're doing way better than my ones that are in soil. I'm starting to think maybe I need to transition them if I can't sell them anytime soon. But yeah, let's see here, just getting through this tape. But what I was getting at was the roots have just traditionally not come in well. They've been highly rotted, especially on those delayed orders that I had that got held up in customs. The roots on the Monstera albos were crap, you guys. They were so bad. But on the Monstera standelianas, the Monstera cobras that I ordered, they were a little bit better. And I think that the roots on this plant, if I just recall correctly, I think they're a little bit smaller than, just like the Monstera cobra standeliana roots are a little bit smaller, and by smaller I mean narrower, than they are on an albo, and I think that lends itself well for shipping Monsteras. Now, what's so weird about that to me, you guys, is that is not my experience with Anthurium. Anthurium have big chunky roots like Monstera albos do, and I have gotten I've gotten more than one Anthurium from Aroid Asia, and the roots were like pristine on all of them. I will say, Anthurium tend to ship very well in my experience from overseas, and we're gonna find out here in a second if that held true for this order, because there are to Anthurium. The two largest plants, I believe, are both Anthurium. Those are the two that I specifically had said I would be interested in having. Okay, these roots are not looking good. Not looking good at all. Okay, hold on, let me get the last bit of spot. Let's see, they're just falling off. You guys see the thin dark brown bit right there by my pinky? That is root. That is just completely rotted root. So yeah, it's just, they're just popping completely off of here. So that is disappointing. The larger roots right here, I don't like the color of them, but they don't feel rotted. So in this situation, I don't want to like crazy taint the water that I'm going to put these in. So I'm actually going to pull a lot of these. And so this is the whole root is rotted that I'm pulling off. If it was just part of the end, so you can see part of the end here is rotted, that I will grab my snips and cut off. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but apparently my lawn guy is here, even though I don't feel like he... Is that really loud, you guys? I should have probably told him he doesn't need to come do my lawn anymore for the rest of the year, because I feel like it's kind of stopped growing. I'm going to have to let him know after this that this is the last time he needs to do the lawn without my permission. Here he comes again. Okay, you guys, I think he just started, so you guys might be hearing the lawnmower, the weed whacker, the blower. I think that was actually the lawnmower I was hearing a second ago. It looks like he got a new lawnmower, so the good news is it seems to be a little bit quieter than the previous lawnmower, but my apologies. This is the only time today I have to film this though, so we are just going to have to truck through and deal with the noise in the background. All right, I'm gonna grab my snips to trim off some of these other rotted ends, and then we'll take a closer look and see just how much good root is left. Okay guys, this is what we have left in terms of usable roots on this. At least I think they're usable. Like I said, they're kind of a funky color that is making me a little nervous. So I will probably leave this in water a little bit longer just to see how these roots shape up, because typically if they're kind of like borderline getting ready to rot, in my experience, leave them in water a few days, and if they were planning on rotting, they will rot. That's just how it is. They will usually turn a bit translucent, and then you take them out and they just kind of smush apart. So if that does happen, then I'll have to reroot this from scratch. I'll just remove everything, give it a wash down. All of these are going to get a wash down in my root rot treatment, which is 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 2 parts water before I pot them up, which will happen either 24 to 48 hours from now, depending on the plant, the state of the roots, etc. But if I have to reroot this one, I'll reroot it. But all in all, this plant looks great. It's a Monstera, Monstera's root. Well, I say Monstera's root pretty quickly, but you know those Standelianas, those Monstera cobras did not for me. Oh my God, they took forever. So hopefully this one doesn't do that if I end up having to reroot it. But for now, it's going into the water. Good news is I don't see any signs of pests. So that's good. Okay. This plant. I just laugh because this is a variegated plant. Let me just start there. This is a variegated plant, and I owned the non-variegated version of this because I absolutely loved it in pictures and everything, and then I got it and I did not like the way that it was growing for me. It was annoying the crap out of me. So it was one of the plants that I ended up purging this year at the beginning of the year, because at the beginning of every year I kind of go through and I'm like, do I really like this plant anymore? Like, would I be sad if it was not part of my collection? And I get rid of those plants. And by get rid of, I mean I sell them, gift them to people, whatever. I don't just throw them away or anything like that. But this is a variegated version of one of the ones that I gave away. So we'll see how the variegated version grows for me and if it will stay in my collection or not. But the plant in question that I purged was a Syngonium winlandii. This is what is known as a Syngonium scrambled eggs, which is just the variegated version of a Syngonium winlandii, just so you guys know. So one of the things that I absolutely love about Syngonium winlandii is that it is velvety leaves. And it's a little bit kind of harder to tell, I feel like sometimes on the variegated version, that they're velvety. And actually these look a little less velvety than the regular winlandii. But the regular Winlandii is this dark green color and it has this silver down the center, but as you can see, this has the kind of yellowish variegation going on it. So this leaf is just dying off, not uncommon, especially for a Syngonium that has been shipped overseas. I will tell you guys right now, Syngonium, in my experience, have not shipped great in terms of leaf loss. They have a tendency to lose a lot of leaves in shipping. The roots are kind of hit or miss. I've had some come in like one of those orders from them that took like 20 days to get to me. The roots were not great. But in general, Syngoniums re-root very, very easily. Like I've taken Syngoniums before, cuttings that didn't have any leaves on them, just basically nodes, thrown them in water, and within a few, like less than 2 weeks, they've got enough roots to pot up. So if you do order a Syngonium from overseas and it does lose a bunch of leaves and whatnot, just throw it in water. Odds are if it doesn't have good roots, like if you have to remove all the roots, it will root up really quickly and they start to push out new leaves really quickly. But this one looks pretty good because really only, well, this leaf might, looks like maybe the 2 oldest leaves, this leaf's yellowing. That's not part of the variegation. Looks like the oh my gosh, I can talk. 2 oldest leaves might die off, but other than that, the rest of them look pretty good. So and I can see roots. See that? Through there that look good. So I think we're probably going to be doing okay with this one. Now, just in case you didn't see my purge video and you're wondering why I decided to purge, or what about the growth pattern I didn't like about the non-variegated version that made me want to purge it. I like Syngoniums that trail, and I got the distinct impression that these, or at least the non-variegated one, really wanted to climb. And not only did it really want to climb, it was killing off like its lower leaves really quickly as it was growing out and just getting very attenuated looking because of that. And I really didn't like that. Hold on, you guys. Okay, I think that was the weed whacker going by the kitchen window at that point. Oh, the joys of filming from your home, you guys. All right. Get through this tape here. All right. Here he comes. Okay. I think he's back to the front. Hopefully that means he's almost done. All right. So much sphagnum moss. Okay. These are nice big chonky roots. Oops, we did have some roots break off in the sphagnum moss. Ooh. This one's got a funky smell going on. I don't think it's from rot, but it just does not smell nice. Because these roots don't look bad. Oh, there's another big chunk of one just kind of fell off, but it's not from rot. I think it just got broken in the shipping or packing process. And so just to prove how prolifically these plants, Syngoniums, will root, this thing's been putting out new roots. Right there, I guarantee you that's been while it's been in this box because of how white they are compared to everything else. So I guarantee you it's been doing that in the box. Hi, Scooter. Y'all hear Scooter chirping in the background? Do you want to come say hi? We can say hi in a second. So some of these are broken, just bent and broken. Can you see that one right there is just, it's broken right there. It's just bent and broken. So I'm gonna cut that one off. Anything that is, oops, wrong things. Anything that's bent or broken like that, just, it can go to rot, just especially while it's in water rehydrating. So I just like to cut those off. There is like just a little bit of, looks like there was rot at some point on the ends of those. So I'm just gonna cut those. Other than that though, I think this looks pretty good, you guys. Once again, that one's just kind of broken. But yeah, all in all, that looks pretty good. So we're gonna pop that one into some water as well. I wonder if it'll fit in here. It'll fit in there. You wanna say hi, Scooter? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's down there checking out that box. He's like, this looks like something fun to play in. What you doing? You're so cute. You wanna play in that box? Okay. Here you go. been a while since we've had like cat interruptions, especially since I've been filming a lot more in my office lately. So good news is nobody's been trying to jump up on the counter. Not that Scooter can do that, but Theo and George could. George wouldn't, but Theo would. So at least Theo's been being very, very good. All right, last two plants. These are both Anthurium. Which one do I want to open first? Let's do this one. All right, I feel like I need, this is like overrun with sphagnum moss, so we're just gonna move that one out of the way, and I will use the paper off of this one for the rest of the sphagnum moss. The leaf blower is coming by now, you guys. It's just kind of comical at this point, but whatever. Yes, Scooter? I will tell you guys, Scooter has become the most vocal of the three cats. Theo's very vocal when he wants food, but other than that, he doesn't like talk to me as it would be. Scooter though, he chirps a lot. Like anytime he wants anything, if he wants his belly rubbed, I think he might actually be done doing the yard, you guys. Anyways, as I was saying, if Scooter wants anything, belly rubbed, food, play, look at me, mom, like whatever it may be, he does little chirpy meows to let me know. So he is definitely a little talker. Reminds me a lot of Toby. Toby was definitely a talker as well. But yeah, so you guys might be hearing more of Scooter in upcoming videos. Okay, this is an Anthurium, a very large, my dad. It actually says big size on the tag, but this is an Anthurium clarinervium. Now, clarinervium, absolutely love the way clarinervium look. Clarinervium, however, do have a reputation for not being the fastest growers. So I am glad that this is a big size. Scooter, you have fun down there. And obviously we have the polyfill because this is a rather large plant. Oh my gosh, there's 2 inflows on here that I can see. But I will say for people getting into Anthurium, clarinervium and crystallinum are 2 really good starter Anthurium. Like, they're pretty tough as nails. Hold on, he's knocking on my front door. Okay guys, he wanted to ask if he could do some weed. I guess like weed and feed, which is fine because I didn't do it this spring like I normally do, and it definitely needs it. And normally, you're technically supposed to do it in the fall and the spring, so I was like, sure, dude, go for it. All right, so what was I saying? Anthurium clarinerviums and Anthurium crystallinums are pretty sturdy, tough Anthuriums, so they're good starter Anthuriums. Unfortunately, this one looks a little dusty or not. I don't know. It doesn't look, it looks kind of, well, it looks better on camera. In person, it looks really kind of, I guess dusty is the best way I can describe it, but I love the kind of the heart-shaped leaves of the Anthurium clarinervium with those silvery veins. So super excited about this. Does look like one of these leaves. It's not looking so hot in there. That looks like the emergent, so it might just, because it wasn't fully hardened off when this shipped, not be doing well. We do have a leaf over here that looks like it's dying off as well, but let's get this giant, look at this, giant thing. Oh, I was gonna keep the paper up here. Giant thing of sphagnum moss off here. And like I said, just in my experience with shipping Anthurium, the roots typically are pretty stellar looking. So hopefully that turns out to be the case with this one. This thing is huge. I've gotten large Anthurium. Actually, speaking of Anthurium crystallinum, I do still have 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3 of those left in inventory from when I had ordered from them. And most of them came in very large like this as well, and they've done pretty well for me. It's just, I feel like there's a lot, I don't know where the Anthurium people in my area are hiding, because like at the rare plant pop-up shops I do and at the plant swaps that I attend, I feel like there are just a ton of Hoya people, a ton of Philodendron people. Almost everybody is some type of Monstera people. But I feel like there's just not a lot of Anthurium enthusiasts in my like direct circle. There's a few people in the area I know, like Caleb's Tropicals and the Plant Poppy, like they have a lot of Anthuriums. Well, Caleb's Tropicals, that's pretty much all well, I mean, that's his primary plants, right? Not only plants he has. Plant Poppy's got a pretty eclectic collection, but he definitely has Anthurium. I don't know, I just feel like there's not a huge number of Anthurium enthusiasts, or they're hiding out somewhere that I have yet to discover in this area. I should really go investigate specifically Anthurium groups in this area, see if I can find some on Facebook or something. Okay. Finally got that off. So much sphagnum moss. I usually, because I don't use sphagnum moss a lot, you guys, like, we won't get into all of the reasons why, but this is a lot. Like, I don't want to just throw this away. It's horrible. I will probably but sterilize this. I'm pretty sure you can just boil it to sterilize it and hang on to it, maybe to do some moss caps on the top of my Anthuriums, because I know a lot of people really preach that moss caps really, really work well to help Anthurium get more rooted and size up more quickly. And so for those of you who don't know what I mean by moss caps, since I'm holding an Anthurium, allow me to explain. Whew, these roots are huge, you guys. Okay, before I explain, because dang, it's a slightly odd odor coming off of this one too. Look how huge those roots are. That is so massive. Look at that. Look at that in comparison to my pinky. It's giant. Giant, giant, giant. There is some dried rootage that's broken off here on the end. Some of these are just dried up, and so they're kind of rotting. Over here. And it may be dried up because it broke. Who knows? But anyways, I'm just going to trim those parts off. But what I meant by a moss cap, which I feel like a moss collar would be a better way to describe this, honestly. But at the top of Anthurium, they will start to push new roots continuously at the top. Hopefully you can see that little nub right there. So this is kind of similar to what you see on Monsteras, like Monstera deliciosas, your Monstera deliciosa or Borsigiana, which once again, those two things are the same thing. Once again, that's for another video. Those names are synonyms of each other. They're not actually two different plants. Just letting you know, like if you actually talk to the taxonomists in the plant world, they're going to tell you Borsigiana and deliciosa are the same plant. But I digress. So Monsteras do that. They get a lot of aerial roots up at the base of the vines. Anthurium do that as well. And so what a moss cap, or I'm going to call it a moss collar, is once this is planted up, let's say the dirt line is right here, you would put a little collar of moss, usually doing something like, if I were to cut the bottom off of this, I would wrap this around this top part and fill this with moss so that it encourages all of the new roots that are going to try to form here, encourages them to form more quickly, and then they send their way down into the soil and it helps it to root more quickly. And then typically the more you let it really produce and send those roots way down, that the new roots that come in up here, typically the more quickly it will push foliage and size up. So that is why people do that. These roots are gargantuan. Okay, let's just get through. Hold on, I'm going to wipe these down with some isopropyl alcohol since I did cut off some fairly not nice roots, and these are so thick that I'm worried about spreading something, so give me 1 second. Okay, we're good to go. It always makes me so like, oh, I don't know why I get so weird about cutting through such thick roots. I think it's just because so much, like the surface, the end that you're exposing is so much broader. It kind of creeps me out. Like it makes me feel like I'm setting it up to have an issue, but like not cutting off dead or rotted parts is also going to set it up for having an issue. So it's got to get done. Now, I will say it is not uncommon to get a lot of situations of breakage like this on Anthuriums. It's just the nature of having bigger, chunkier roots. They don't bend as easily. I mean, these are super, I mean, it's kind of like, reminds me of like a thin carrot is what it feels like. So yeah, it's not uncommon to get a lot of breakage in shipping. When it comes to Anthurium, just make sure you cut off above where the breakage is. Some of these are all the way up at the top needing to be cut off. I wish you guys could see what is going on behind you right now. Scooter is in the dining room and he is just rolling around like crazy on the floor. What are you playing with? my goodness, did you steal that from me? Hold on, you guys. He stole some polyfill out of the box down here and is like shredding it to pieces. One sec. All right, you guys, I just shoved all the polyfill underneath the paper. There is polyfill. When I walked in there, polyfill all over my dining room, all over my entryway. Oh my goodness, but he was having fun. At least there's that. All right. I think I just about got all of this off of here. This one is rotted. So this one looks, and this sucks because it's another really big one, looks super healthy down here, but right here it is smushy. You see how easily it's bending? It is rotted. So that one's got to get cut off above that point. Just carefully trace your way up all of your roots, you guys. I will say this is 2 heads. Hopefully you can see that. There are 2 growth points right next to each other on here, so that is nice. Oh, Scooter's back. All right, so I think I got all of it off of there. I'm going to carefully re-inspect this after it's been sitting in water for 24 hours to make sure that none of these have gone translucent and mushy and rotted further. But let me move this forward a little bit. I don't want to set this all on top of that moss. I want to check this with the microscope because I don't know what is coating this. It just looks really dusty, and you guys know when I see dust, I get worried that there's like spider mites. So we're going to make sure there's no pests. Okay, guys, I don't see any pests. Maybe it's just like some residue from their pest treatment process that they do. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I will get them washed down and everything. And I will probably, oh, that's the newest leaf. That is actually, this one that looks like it's dying is the newest leaf on this head. That's kind of disappointing. Once again, maybe it just got a bit damaged because it wasn't fully hardened off. I don't necessarily, like, in this situation on Anthurium, you guys, I do not recommend cutting off all the way at the bottom because this plant, okay, one of these is in cataphyll, and what that means is, so like alocasias will, the new leaf comes out of the previous leaf, right? When Anthurium are young, that's what happens, and then when it goes to what's known as in cataphyll, they come out in a separate cataphyll, which, get this off of here, maybe you can see it. Can you see? Right there, this little point right in here, that is on the side of this newest leaf that came out. That's where the new leaf is going to come from. That's a whole separate little shoot that's going to shoot out. He's clawing on the side of the trash can. I don't know what he's doing that for. Anyway, so this is in cataphyll. So the new leaves will just come out from those points, and then the flowers will now come out from the previous leaf. But this other head is young enough, small enough, that it might not be in cataphyll yet. I'm trying to see. Oh, no. Is it in cataphyll? Nope, it looks like it's in cataphyll. You see how there's the little point here? So that's also in cataphyll. But what I was getting at was if it wasn't in cataphyll, if it was going to be where the leaf was going to come, the next leaf was going to come out of this leaf, I would not recommend cutting all the way down here. Also, don't cut too close to the bottom anyway if it's in cataphyll because you don't want to clip that. But if it's not in cataphyll, I would just cut this off basically up here at the top. You'll see that a lot if you see videos where people have Anthuriums. Sometimes you'll see just a long stem without a leaf. It's probably because the leaf died off and they didn't want to cut the whole stem because the new leaf's going to come out of that. So that is about that. All right, let me put this in water over here. Okay, last plant. How long have we been going? Longer than I thought, but also we had interruptions. So by the time I edit this, it probably won't be that long. All right, this is another Anthurium that I was kind of excited to see. I basically just saw they had a lot of this type of Anthurium on their site, and it just said, they all said, so it's a I always stutter over this, papillilaminum. Well, what we like to call pap for short. If you hear people say it's a pap by, they're talking about this plant because that's just a mouthful to say, but it's a pap legend seed, and they had different ones. So there was like seed A, seed B, seed C, and they had pictures of kind of what they looked like, and I really liked the seed C ones. So I asked them to send me one of those. So that is what this is. Where am I going to put all these Anthurium that I have now, you guys? We got to figure out an Anthurium setup, especially for these larger ones. I have some ideas, don't get me wrong, but I need to find the time to execute them. All right, we got the polyfill in here. Woohoo! Okay. Look at this. Look at those beautiful leaves. Okay, so definitely a more elongated leaf. As you can see, still a velvety leafed Anthurium, and these leaves will get quite dark. This is one of those things where the camera never really fully does it justice. This looks very healthy. I'm not seeing any leaves that look like they're dying off or anything like that. It does have that weird feeling to it that the other one had, so that must just be something to do with their pest treatment process, I think. But, oh, that's a pest. What are you? What are you? Oh. Are you what I think you are? Oh, you mofo. You mofo. Hitching a ride where you are not wanted. I'm going to double check with my microscope, you guys, if it will turn on. Where did it go? Oh my God. Where are you? Ugh. Ugh. Ew. You're a weird looking one too. I've never seen one like that. Ooh. Okay. That is a mealybug. Oh. There's a mealy. He had like weird yellow antenna. Oh. Never seen one like that. Okay. 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 I'm going to more thoroughly inspect that other Anthurium and some of the rest of these plants after this. But right now, we're just going to smush you with our finger. Ooh. It was a tiny one. If it was a big one, I would not be smushing it with my finger. Oh, gross. Gross, gross, gross. Okay, hold on. Get some better lighting going on here, and let's see if we see a llama. I know, that's how I feel about it too, Scooter. Ew. Say ew. Nobody likes a mealy. And when there's one baby, I feel like there's more babies. Oh yeah. There's more. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. I found a cluster of eggs. 1 second, you guys. Okay, I've got the isopropyl alcohol. I have got a cotton pad. I have got Q-tips. We are going to clean up, kill whatever we see here real quick because ew, 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 ew is all I have to say about that. I don't even know. It's gonna be hard for me to hold this up for you guys to see. You see that white little cluster right there? That is eggs. That is eggs. That is mealy bug eggs. Ooh, 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 ew. Kill it off. Ugh. Okay. Ugh. Let me see if I see any other large clusters like that. And then I will give these leaves a full-fledged wipe down when we're done with this video, because I don't want to make you guys have to sit here the whole time I'm doing this, but I'm going to wipe the fronts and the backs of these leaves. And then I'm going to keep this one in a separate container from the other plants. And then it's going to get a pest spray down after it's had a chance to rehydrate. Ew, 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 ew. That's not a large cluster, but we are going to kill that one. Yucky, yucky. Some on the stem. That might have just been dirt. Ugh, okay. I hear you, Scoots Badoots. All right. Not what I like, but guess what, you guys? That's still nowhere near as bad as some of the ones that came in with mealies last time. It is inevitable that a pest is going to slip through the cracks. It's inevitable. I mean, as long as they're not like massively infested, I figure we're doing pretty well. And mealies are typically easier to eradicate, in my opinion, than other pests. So if it had to be a pest, at least it was a mealy. Let's see how these roots look. Ugh, mealybugs. Ugh, ugh. I don't know. I think they gross me out more than any of the other bugs. Ugh, makes my skin crawl. And when they're babies, I discovered recently, because somehow I ended up with mealies all over my black velvet alocasia after, I think, eradicating the spider mites, I went and I was like, why are there little white things crawling all over this? Got the magnifying glass out. It was mealybug babies. I didn't know they could move that fast when they're young, and there were so many of them. I didn't see a single adult on that plant, though. I don't know where the heck they came from. It was weird. I think I might have gotten them under control at this point. Yes, Scooter, I know. You want me to rub your belly and play with you. I hear you. Don't bite my ankle. Okay, these roots are nowhere near as thick and chunky as you can see, but that's okay. There is quite a bit of kind of rotted ends. That's why this just looks like a hair right there. But these up here, they look super, super healthy. So basically, you guys, with this one, oh, this is 2 heads too, just so you know. 2 plant babies right there. So just so you guys know what I'm gonna do, what was I gonna say? I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm not going to do this all on camera because you've watched me do this enough. I'm going to trim off the rot on this. Oh! Just accidentally touched it against the Syngonium Wylandii, but I don't think there's anything right where it touched it. Anyways, this is gonna go in its own container that I have over there, and I'm gonna get this all trimmed up and everything, and then of course I will give you guys an update on how this plant does. Scooter! He's so demanding, he just nipped my ankle. It's okay. You want to just hang out in my arms while I wrap this video up? All right, you guys. Well, all in all, this went better than the last few Aroid Asia orders that I got, except for the fact that I'm still kind of like, why didn't I get a new updated tracking number from Plant Stop USA? That was a little bit annoying. And if they hadn't gone to a plant show, I feel like maybe I would have gotten these sooner. But all in all, it turned out pretty well. Now, I will let you know that typically if you're in the US, and you're ordering less than 12 plants, you're not gonna have an issue with your plants getting stuck in customs. So when I was ordering more than that, that's when I was having the problems. So if you guys do wanna give importing plants a try, I will say Aroid Asia does have very nice plants. I do have a discount code. I am going to have to double check with them if my code is still active or if they have a new one for me so that you can get a discount. I'll flash it up on screen, what the code is and how much the discount is for you. And I will include a link to their website in the description below. But I hope you guys have enjoyed coming along with me on what has been a slightly chaotic unboxing video between the lawn guy and this little guy right here. If so, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button down below. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Aloha!